You want faster setups and perfect repeat cuts? Well, this upgrade does both. T-Track is one of those upgrades that shows up everywhere in my shop. I use it in my router table fence, in my workbench for clamping, and on all kinds of jigs like my crosscut sled. It's a great solution over here on the CNC. I absolutely love this setup here I have in the face frame. It's so useful. And I even use it on my tool wall. Well, actually this is just a holder for all those accessories. Now, is it the only way to hold down materials? No, but it's incredibly versatile, and there's a huge variety of stops, clamps, and accessories available. The most important thing is whatever method you choose to hold down your materials, just stick with it so it's universally used throughout your entire space. That consistency is what really makes your workflow efficient. Speaking of efficiency, that's what this video is all about. One thing you want to think about before you start routing a big hole in your workbench top is to make sure you're not going to hit any screws. Let me show you how I attach this workbench top and how I know I'm okay. When I attach the MDF and the plywood substrates, I did it in this grid pattern and used screws to act as clamps. But once the glue dried, I removed all these screws, so these are just empty holes in here now. So in addition to adding the T-Track, I'll be adding in a few inserts, a left to right measuring tape, and then using this jig hardware kit and an offcut, I'll make a cool stop block. Let's get started. Before I can get the T-Track in, I need to make sure the miter saw is perfectly square to the bench. That way, the T-Track will be the exact same distance on both sides. I'm using a 4-foot level, a tape measure, and a T-Track itself to double check everything. Once I'm happy with the alignment, it's time for some blue tape. This will keep the laminate from tearing out when I route out those grooves. On the left side, I'm running 2 strips because I'll also be adding the measuring tape on that side. With the saw anchored back in place, I'm ready to start cutting in those channels. I got this little 3D printed accessory. Again, I don't have a 3D printer, but I love supporting other small makers, and I buy all of this stuff off Etsy. And this just slides right here into my track that I use for my track saw. So I'll use this, line it up perfect, and it should be a nice straight shot. All right, to dial in the depth of our router bit here, we're going to use 2 pieces of the T-Track and raise the bit till it's just over the top. With the depth set, I grabbed a scrap piece to make sure the bit was low enough to clear, and once it passed the test, we're ready to go. I hooked up the dust collection hose and started routing. Since it's only going through MDF, I went the full 3/8 inch depth in one pass, just taking it nice and slow so the dust collector could keep up. Even then, I still had to vacuum out the grooves after, but the cut was clean and crisp. Then it was time to transfer my guide rail to the other side of the miter saw and clamp it in place. Now here's where I ran into one dirty problem, literally. My dust collection boom arm, yeah, it doesn't quite reach over to this side. And this makes just a bit of a difference as the dust goes flying absolutely everywhere. I pushed through to get it done, but that's something I may need to fix down the line. Those Festool hoses, let's just say they're not exactly an impulse buy category. To route the groove for the measuring tape, I grabbed my setup blocks and I used 3/4 inch block to set my guide rail back from the edge. Since the tape itself is about a 1/2 inch wide, this keeps it tucked back just enough from the T-Track. I set the depth and got to work. The tape is super thin, and at first I was just skimming through the blue tape, so I had to drop down the bit a little bit lower. I ended up going a little deeper than I planned, but better too low than too high. The blue tape now definitely did its job, leaving no tear out in the laminate. Me, on the other hand, well, let's just say there was a couple user errors, bumps, and wobbles along the way. All right, now that we have everything routed out, it's time to set up how we want our T-Track to lay out. Because this run is longer than the T-track I have 4 foot length, so this is probably a 5 foot plus length. There's multiple ways we could do that. You could just butt them up next to each other. That's how I did it on my workbench. But also, what I found when I was at Rockler is they have these two types of, or they have a couple different types of inserts, but these two are the ones I thought were good for my application. One, these are inline inserts. So what that's going to do is it's going to go in between the two pieces that you connect. So it serves as like a butt joint connector, but it allows you to drop in your bolts for your different accessories for the T-track. The other ones here I have are end caps, which serve multiple purposes as well. Because a router bit leaves a nice round edge, these will go right into that round corner and you don't have to worry about squaring it off. So I'm gonna get these laid out, figure out how much T-track I need on each side, and well, we'll get going here. With the grooves routed, I drop the T-track in place and mark my length. While it's sitting right where it'll live, I pre-drill the mounting holes using a self-centering bit, also known as a VIX bit. This thing is magic for perfectly centered holes every single time. Once that's done, I pull the T-track out and I cut it to length on the miter saw. Yep, aluminum cuts just fine with the woodworking blade, as long as you go nice and slow and let the blade do the work. On the left side, I start by installing another rounded stop drop-in at the end. And then I grab a short piece of T-track, which was left over from another project, and I add an inline drop-in here. I think that's going to give me a greater versatility right at the workbench top to add in all kinds of T-track accessories. From there, I move on with the full piece of T-track, mark the length, pre-drill the mounting holes, and cut it down to size. Once it's all cut to size, I grab some 1/2-inch screws and I start locking it into place through those pre-drilled holes. With everything secured, I come back with a trim router to clean up the edges so they'll match the profile of that maple trim. Since I wasn't about to pull the miter saw off the bench, I could only get so close to the edge with the router bit. To stretch that channel for the measuring tape, I marked the line forward with a square, then made a couple of clean slices to those marks with a flush trim saw. That helped define the edges before heading to the tool wall for my mallet and chisel. From there, some admittedly sloppy chisel work to knock out the laminate and hard maple where the tape would sit. Like most of my projects, not perfect, but it gets the job done. To figure out exactly where my measuring tape should start, I used my freshly installed T-track and grabbed a stop from my accessories holder. I locked it down in a random spot, nothing scientific, just tight enough so I wouldn't move. Then I slid a scrap piece of plywood under the saw and made a cut. A quick mark with blue tape, and then I stretched that line out using a long square so I could read it clearly. I measured the scrap, 26 1/4. Perfect, or so I thought. That's when I went to grab the measuring tape and realized, yep, I ordered the wrong direction. The numbers read backwards, and the best part, I must have read that listing 10 times just to make sure I didn't mess it up, and still did.
I got the wrong one.
Yeah, we'll circle back and fix that later. Alright, it could be done. I have a stop block I can use, but I'm a maker. I like to make things, so let's make a stop block. I found this in my offcut bin, which is a mess, but this is a piece of end grain teak that I use for one of my cutting boards, and I just think it's really, really beautiful. So I'm going to use this, and I have a jig hardware kit here. This thing is really useful. I've used it quite a few times. Comes with all different kinds of knobs and bolts. So we're going to use some of these bolts and make ourselves a little stop block. Before I can make the stop block, I needed a runner or key to fit inside the T-track. That's what gives the block the stability it needs so it doesn't rock or shift. I grabbed a piece of scrap maple because it's tough and straight and definitely abundant in my scrap bin, and I started chopping it down to size. Once I got close on thickness, I pulled my go-to for anything precision, setup blocks. They're like my little insurance policy against my own human error. I used them to set my table saw blade exactly the right distance from the fence and then made the final cuts. Once it slid nicely in the T-track without binding, I marked a line for the depth and then trimmed it just under that mark so it wouldn't bottom out. Now it can glide freely back and forth. So because of how I laid out my T-track, it's a little bit further back. So I'm going to offset this stop block, and then I changed to a flat top blade so I can cut a dado that'll accept this key that will ride in the T-track. So let's cut that dado. With the flat tooth blade installed, it only took a few passes to get the width just right to accept that maple runner. But to really dial it in, I broke out one of my favorite tricks. Running it over adhesive back sandpaper stuck to a scrap of plywood. This keeps pieces perfectly flat and lets you sneak up on that fit nice and slow. It's actually a great method for box flattening too. I worked it down until it slid in the T-track with just the right amount of resistance, no slop and no binding. Once I was happy with it, I trimmed the runner to a final length, checked that fit one more time, and got it ready to glue into the dado at the bottom of the stop block. At this point, everything was fitting together like it was meant to be there from day one. Okay, now it's time to turn this humble scrap into a real woodworking jig. First step, marking where I want that T-bolt to pass through both the block and the runner. Once those marks were in place, I headed over to the drill press and bored out a slightly oversized hole so that T-bolt could slide in without fighting me. Then it was off to my jig making kit. I'll link it below. Basically a treasure chest of knobs, bolts, and jig hardware. I dug through it until I found the perfect bolt to fit this setup and paired it with a nice solid knob so I could lock it down tight. Time to give this block a little personality. I headed over to the router table to add some clean chamfers. Nothing too flashy, but enough to make it feel like a finished piece. I ran a deeper chamfer around the top for decoration, and a shallow one on the bottom front edge as well. That bottom chamfer is not just for looks. It gives any stray sawdust a place to escape so it doesn't mess with the accuracy of my repeated cuts. Because I'd already glued in the runner, I couldn't hit every edge on the router table, so I switched over to a sharp chisel to finish the chamfer by hand. A little forethought would have saved me some extra work here, but honestly, I could use the hand tool practice. Antique, this stuff is no joke. Tough as nails. It took some extra sanding, both by hand and with the orbital, but in the end, the block came out looking sharp. This is probably one of my unpopular woodworking opinions, but I just don't like lacquer. I understand the benefits of it, and it would be much better to spray this in lacquer. And there's no chance of any oil rubbing off or anything like that, but man, I just don't like the look of lacquer. You can't beat a nice oil finish. This is my favorite here, Atomic Finishes. There's a link below. A good oil bath, can't beat it though. Leave me a comment below and tell me what I'm doing wrong with the lacquer. Why am I not getting this beautiful deep color from it? All right, the new measuring tape finally showed up. Let's get this thing opened and installed on the worktop. And are you kidding me? It's reading right to left, and it's in metric. I mean, I wish I learned metric from the start, but I'm turning 40 this year, and let's be honest, this old dog's not learning that new trick anytime soon. I'm really loving this new stop block, but like all these applications, they're so far away from the blade, they all have one thing in common, is you can't cut a piece that's longer than, 10, 12 inches. But I think with the scrap of wood, I have an idea how I can add on to this stop block and give me a little extra room. All right, I want to mark the center of this board. And then I took that line and transferred it over to the stop block. All right, so what I did was I set up my domino, and I guess you could do the same thing with a dowel. By the way, I got this domino jig from Wix Woodworks, and I actually have a reel on making this little cradle. I'll link it below. But the idea is to put a domino, glue it into this piece, and then I'll also cut a domino into my stop block, and then I'll use this as a measuring stick for where the measuring tape stops. So let's give this a go. When creating the stop block extension, I set my domino to the tight setting for the walnut piece and the medium setting for the teak stop block side. That medium setting gives me just a little wiggle room, so if I ever swap out the sacrificial fence for something with, say, like a different thickness, I'm not locked into that one setup. After a quick test fit at the miter saw, everything lined up the way I wanted it, so it was time to commit. I glued the domino permanently into the extension, and with a couple of love taps from the mallet, it was locked in for good. To keep things consistent, I added the same chamfer from the main block onto the extension. That's also not just for looks. It gives sawdust somewhere to escape so it doesn't throw off that accuracy. From there, I took it over to my crosscut sled and trimmed the extension to exactly 12 inches. Why 12? Honestly, it just felt right. I don't know, it just made sense. Plus, I don't plan on cutting anything under 2 inches on the miter saw anyway. Once I confirmed the fit one last time, I brought it inside for a little laser engraving. I marked it so I'll always know it's not a scrap, and while I was at it, I added my logo because, hey, I'm making content here. The final touch, a fresh coat of oil to make it pop. Now this thing looks like it means business. Well, 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 look what finally showed up. Think we finally did it. Third time's a charm, or at least that's what I keep telling myself to justify my questionable online shopping skills. How about that? All right, let's finally get this measuring tape installed. I'm starting with that 26¼ mark we measured earlier, then slowly working my way out in one direction, peeling back the adhesive little by little and pressing the tape into its new channel. Once I reached the end, a quick snip took care of the extra length. Then I ran it all the way to the other side of the bench. The width fit perfectly and it adhered cleanly to that MDF substrate. Okay, now I might have been a little premature in saying we nailed it this time. I had bought the 6-foot tape. Apparently my workbench here is about 6 foot 7 inches. So the piece that I cut off from the other side, I'm just gonna tack on here. I made sure to cut off the little tab so it evenly lines up. That's gonna fill my space and it should be pretty accurate too. I still couldn't find a right to let tape longer than 6 feet. But you know what, that works. I'm calling it done. I'm officially retiring from the measuring tape ordering business. My Amazon cart and I need a break. I'm sure my wife would agree. Let's put this new stop block, extension, and T-track to work. For smaller cuts, I lock the stop block down, slide in the extension, and I'm ready to make my cuts. Since the extension is exactly 12 inches, I can still use the measuring tape. I just subtract that number from whatever length I need. So for example, if I need a 6-inch piece, I set the stop block at 18 inches, and boom, perfect cut. It works so well, I might run out of wood before I'm out of excuses to keep using this. Well, that wraps up part 2 of this series. We've installed our T-track, added our custom stop block with the extension, and our measuring tape is already giving us more accurate and smoother cuts. In the next video in this series, we'll be adding drawer and door handles in a man versus machine style. I hope to see you for that one.